go one way or the other. They kind of have to start to find new members and try new things, or they have to achieve with the lineup they have. So
yeah,
let's see if they can take the next step, because Jin Air have been on the precipice of greatness many times in their organization's history.
And as you can see, we have shrunk down to the bottom of the screen, and that means we're into picks and bans.
Yay!
Game number 1 between Jin Air and CJ. Cassiopeia Shen, the first 2 bans coming out for Jin Air, and GP Vlad taken away by CJ. Interesting.
Vladimir ban coming against Blanc, so he's been playing that in solo queue, so makes some 7 cents. Definitely a respect ban there. Ash banned away from Kramer. Again, Kramer, we've told the story before, he still has the highest percentage of gold after 15 minutes. In fact, Pilot's #1 and Kramer's #2, and neither of them have had a fantastic season. Even when Jin Air was flying, people had their questions about Pilot. When they're not focusing on giving Kramer all the gold on a champion like Twitch, he's been playing that utility Ash, so it makes sense to have that banned away from him. Now they picked the other utility carry in the meta in Sivir, following in the footsteps of Samsung that first picked the Sivir in Series 1.
Yep, and another champion that you can certainly take to the late game, so there you go. First 2 picks over to CJ now. We'll see what they can go with. The Graves, I suppose, is an option for Haru.
The jungle pool, only the Nidalee is banned away, so pretty wide open. The Hecarim is a big pick here that isn't banned away. CJ got a game off the Rocks Tigers with a very impressive jungle Hecarim game. Top lane Hecarim has also been a big pick in the Aurelia matchup. Not necessarily the best in the laning phase, but can get through it and then have some pretty explosive mid-game Trinity Force power spike.
I'm really curious to see, too, what Shy is going to bring out in this game, because this is a guy that's kind of been in, like, a time capsule for the last, almost year, or 2/3 of a year anywhere, until his recent game. So it'll be really interesting to see what he decides to play.
But Shy was never the guy that you kept last pick on Red Scythe, or maybe right at the start of his career when he was at the height of his carry powers, but when we last saw him in summer last year, it was Shen. It was these staple tanks. Trundle, of course, right in the wheelhouse. Shouldn't have been surprised that his performance was good in that last series, but
true.
Where will they go with him? What are his new picks? Because I tried to look over his match history, and he seems to be hiding a lot of information. There wasn't any on his legacy account, so he very much has been training in secret.
True. I mean, a lot of people would like to bring up his Jax, and it's not the greatest pick right now, but it really is a champion that he kind of made a name for himself
If Expressions doesn't get to play Jax, I really can't see Shy playing Jax, although it would be exciting, like you say.
All right, the Nami wouldn't be a big surprise to grab that for Che.
Haru didn't start the last series. They gave a chance for Bubbling, but Bubbling unfortunately had one of his trademark poor games from the jungle. It's not the greatest trademark to have, but it's going to see the Graves reach is interesting. That's a very high priority on Graves. It does give them some wave clear from the jungle, so maybe they can go for some riskier picks. Speaking of wave clear and strong jungle picks, the Gragas picked up, and Che has been defaulting to Nami like a lot of supports. So for now, a very balanced draft for Jin Air in the first round.
Yeah, well, I mean, I love the Gragas-Nami combo, too. I mean, it's, again, more disengage if you want it, more pick potential if you want it. Just a good versatile duo. Sky could pick up that Azir. He's been able to play that a few times this season already. Or actually, no, my bad. This would be his first game on Azir this season.
I only played those handful of games. Twisted Fate is his only non-utility carry. You think of him as a Lulu player. Karma, I guess, would also fall in the same scenario. Karma, speaking of falling, another champion that we're a bit surprised to see not contested in Rise. He seems to have fallen off a cliff recently, despite no bigger changes than the last round. We've seen series ways fall through picks and bans, and he's at risk of doing that again here.
True. So that'll be Kalista locked in for Kramer, and Trundle once again for Shy. Presumably it could go to support.
They've got a Braum.
So. Oh, you're right. They've got the Braum. Never mind.
The Braum top is probably not going to happen, so
probably not.
This does leave open Trace to pull out a carry. It is just going to be Trundle, a champion that is susceptible, especially with Snowball. Fiora, for example, could be considered.
Yeah.
Trace has never been the world's best Rumble player, but he could play Rumble. It's another matchup that Rumble has pressure on the Trundle early.
The Gnar seems to be much more of a Trace kind of champion, though. I mean, even though we know where Gnar is at right now in the meta, it seems I would not be surprised at all if they lock this in.
I actually oppose that logic. Gnar's in a good place in the meta. It's just that the Gnar performance in this league has been horribly poor. Wow, look at this. Lock in on our first Talia.
Whoa, all right. Awesome. Talia for the first time here in LCK, and Sky's going to be playing it. So talk about a hidden pick.
Wow, that's really interesting. So we see our first Talia hasn't been picked at all in this league. Rookie played it in the LPL, but It's a smattering of people around the world. It's due to see pretty big changes in future patches.
Sure.
But we are going to see it here. That ult utility has so much potential. Is CJ the team to unlock that potential? I remain to be convinced, but this is really exciting. First game of Taliyah in LCK.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what Sky can do with this, because it seems like it's a champion that requires a lot of good team coordination as well. So you think that might make it a bit difficult for CJ that has kind of struggled with that this season. So we'll see.
Team fight coordination, any champion that has an ultimate that doesn't involve direct combat, it's only about creating that permanent terrain, requires coordination, and we've been certainly unconvinced by CJ. They are bottom of the ladder, but they're doing something different, which already is exciting, and maybe this vindicates keeping Sky around, because his pocket Taliyah, you're going to see it for the first time.
Maybe. Should be crazy. Jin versus CJ, game number 1, and I can be pretty confident in saying that Jin was not imagining they would face a Taliyah here.
No, again,
I wasn't thinking we would.
It's one of those picks that comes out of nowhere, but has so much potential. The potential of Taliyah can never be denied. It's just on CJ to unlock that potential, because it can really warp team fights.
Yep, that's right. So it is time. Jin versus CJ, game number 1. Let's do it. And Infernal Drake, the first Drake in our first game between Jin and CJ.
They're doing their best to warp our expectations, Doa. We thought, okay, this could be a long one. Probably not much to see here. Already the first Taliyah of the season, and now Infernal Drake, so setting up for at least an intriguing early game. It's going to be the Thunderlords from Taliyah for a bit more laning oomph. It's sometimes hard to win those trades just with the nature of the threaded volley, the Q, where if you get on the worked ground, you get far less value, but if you're able to vary your placement in the lane, you can certainly do a lot of damage.
Trundle and Taliyah putting down their large beneficial areas, I guess you could say. Frozen worked ground.
I mean, Trundle Pillar plus one of the Unraveled Earth ultimates, that semi-permanent terrain, could actually cordon off a whole lane, such as the power there.
It's true, that does make a big difference. Just got to pair Nivea with this somehow,
Korea win rate, so Shy and CJ were always one of those teams towards the top, so probably not a surprise, but 9-4 Korea between these two players that have been playing for a long time. Trace since 2013 and Shy even longer than that.
Yep. Very true. So, here we go. Taliyah versus Azir. What do you think about this matchup, man? I know it's not one we've seen before, but
I mean, at the end of the day, especially early in the lane, Taliyah will actually have a pushing advantage. Not many people will do that, but before the work ground is all over, the lane has a big shoving advantage. After that, becomes more difficult. Face check coming through.
Yeah, that's right. And Che is going to take a big amount of damage, forced to flash away, actually.
It is a Nami. Had to tank up the Krugs, so it's penalized in that way.
Yep.
This is probably going to be a manageable lane for Taliyah. I don't think it's going to be an outstanding one. I think the one-item power spike will probably still be there for Blanc, which is expected to be something like Nashal's Tooth, or maybe the Berserker Greaves into the Morellonomicon. But also touching on the Nara, that I kind of had to change my train of thought after the first Taliyah lock-in. Nara wins this matchup. He wins it hard. But playing around Nara, again, the matchups are now so well known. Nara will win without jungler impact, but now that we have standard lanes, look for the junglers to impact that lane. Nara just gets to build his items. He will bully the Trundle.
Yep, wow.
Nice trade on
Blanc. Taking a lot of damage already, and that Q coming in forces a heal. Already a good start for Sky.
And you know what that means, Doa? It's probably that Blanc has very little experience laning against a Taliyah.
That would not be too surprising. Mad Life and Haru thinking about coming down to the spot lane.
Just don't see a lot of Taliyah.
Not a whole lot, no.
In any rank.
Yeah. Huh.
There will be a big interaction change in how W&E works, but speaking of interactions...
Well, Che with no flash is going to be a big problem for him as he gets locked down by the exhaust. Oh, manages to nearly get out, but in the end, the Ren does it. Kramer picks up first blood. Now Sky has to flash to get away from Winged. So they do get the flash at least.
One of the powers, whenever Gragas has his flash up, the moment he body slams in, you need to respect flash to preeminate. So that's why if you can blow his flash, if you invade the Gragas, it's a heavy penalty because then he can't make the same mind games.
Definitely.
But the mind games are real there for Sky, who was forced to flash.
Yep.
Build path is certainly not guaranteed from the Talia. I expect it to be just a Merlin Omicron, go for that CDR build, but again, this is our first time seeing it in LCK, and very sparingly so far in competitive. I believe, from what I know, CBLOL was the first, so in Brazil there was the first Talia pick about a month ago now, but Rookie was the big person playing it in the LPL.
Well, you wonder when CJ is going to start to try to move on to this Drake, because it's an Infernal Drake. Everybody wants it. And they've got, it seems like, so much zone control, Well, if you look at how the game is going right now, in the bot lane, Kalista and Braum have the control of the lane. They don't know where Braum is, you cannot face check him, and Sivir has already, basically, Jinna have blown all 4 summoners, so CJ are able to hold the lane. Kalista having both summoners up is a massive advantage there, so they've got lane control and they're choosing to freeze. Right.
In the mid lane, Sky was winning the early trades, though had to flash, so at least in terms of the bot lane, CJ do have the current run of the map. So they could go for Drake, but for now, they're looking for more kills.
Are Mad Life lurking, and the thing is they did get both summoners out of Pilot too when they moved in for the kill on Shay. So Pilot does have to respect that fact that he's pretty vulnerable right now.
Shy in the top lane has done just fine. He's actually winning CS against Dinar, which is no mean feat.
Yeah, here comes Winged coming in, and all right, so no big gank or anything like that. Haru just goes back. Get the Grump.
Is it wrong that I'm more excited for a future game when we see Talia and Gnar on the same team? You create a wall to be Gnar ulted into?
Well, I mean, I feel
That's
like we've
cool
seen that with Anivia in the past, so.
That's a cool interaction to look forward to. We got the Anivia in recent times being in the meta has led to that as well. It's going to be the Q max. It was initially Unraveled Earth, the E max, and then it always felt like Q was the intended max. And when they decreased the cooldown on worked ground, that started to make Q more viable. And again, when you can get away from that worked ground, you are doing really big trade damage, as Blanc found out.
True. So all quiet for the moment anyway. But that will not last long. I think if anything, this will be one of our more action-packed early games.
Negatron Cloak first, so maybe going to be Abyssal Scepter as the first item. Still some element of cooldown reduction in that item after the latest mage item rework.
Yep. Doing a bit of rock surfing.
Yeah.
Way back to lane.
Talia's a really cool champion.
Avatar was a really cool cartoon.
We're both stating facts over here, apparently.
That's true. Sky is blue. Well, not lately in Korea.
No, it's true.
It's pretty gray.
Although today's was a bit nicer than recent times.
Not bad.
But despite the excitement of the pick ban, we still do have to resign the fact that this is still CJ versus Jin Air Greenwings, and it's standard lanes, so with turrets to retreat to, probably not going to be too much action. I mean, when the junglers are, specifically the Graves pick, is there mostly to relieve pressure from lanes and farm, and for now, Winged hasn't visited a lane, he only just got his ultimate, so maybe things will get more exciting now that the explosive cask is available, but otherwise, just going to be farming phase. And if Trace can continue not to pressure Shy, then that's pretty happy times for CJ.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've seen Trundles do a little bit better in this lane than I think we remember.
There was a lot invested into that in the previous game to make it happen. Standard laning, it should actually be pretty tough, but it's going to be the trademark defensive itemization from Trace. This has always been his way. He's never been one to rush a Black Cleaver, even in a matchup like Gnar versus Trundle. He's going to go for the Ninja Tabi, so he's going to have the combat stat effectiveness on those Boots 2 purchases.
True.
A really nice first shot for Shy. Both the Swiftness Boots and the Tiamat on the first back.
Yeah, he'll be a scary Trundle. I mean, again, you know, we've said this before, but the other game we saw him play that Trundle in this season, his only other game of the season, he did look really good. He was a force to be reckoned with in the late game, and even though they lost that game, you're kind of like, all right, Shy he's still got it, you know?
His 2v2 skirmishing left a bit to be desired. He overstayed in a couple and got killed. But as you said, the moment the team fight phase hit, he was actually back to trademark Shy. He was always a wonderful team fighter.
Yeah. Whoa, Che flashing anyway, but they're going to go in on this. A little bit of trouble. Here comes Sky with that ultimate. Helps Haru pick up the kill. Sky got there really quick with that Weaver's Wall.
That was awesome to see. Honestly, Sky, known as a Twisted Fate player, has the mind to roam first.
Yeah, very true.
Came over on the Weaver's Wall. Not on worked ground anymore, so those trades with the Q are strong. And okay, CJ has certainly been scrimming this Taliyah, because even that first invade showed a level of commitment and also a level of communication that's been absent for the majority of the season.
Right, and I mean, that's exactly what we said going into this game, is that by picking up that Taliyah, now they do need to be a little bit more coordinated. This Dragon a little bit risky here, but it looks like they will be able to finish it off. Haru goes in, gets the smite. TP coming in from Jin Air, though. Oh, canceled. Yeah, they might be able to catch Haru. Yep, Emperor's Divide helps Wing to pick one up.
Well, Trace completed the teleport for some reason.
Oh, yeah,
it was super late. It was in the back of the pit. They already had two members converging who definitely was going to pick up Haru, so Trace only really succeeds in losing a wave of minions to his turret. Communication was definitely something we're looking for from CJ. Looks like Jin Air need to brush up on a bit of that communication themselves.
Yeah. You know, the more I think about it, I suppose you can kind of approach Taliyah kind of like a TF, right? You can kind of get there.
I mean, the range of the ultimate, the Weaver's Wall is just massive. Like it's so long. I think it's 6,000 range at highest level. Yeah. At level 1, it's 3,000, which is about 2/3 of the way there to Twisted Fate's ult range, I believe. So it is really long, and especially if you're looking to take fights around the enemy red buff, mid lane to enemy red buff is about 2,000 units, and we saw really nice reaction there.
Yep.
And if you're able to shove in, which is what QMax does, if you're not standing on the worked ground, then this has been really good to see. Blanc might die.
Yeah, he had to flash away from that. He was about to maybe get killed off by the Unraveled Earth.
That's the second time an Azir has had to defensively flash and use their other combat summoner, and Sky has not had to use either. In fact, he has teleport. If he had Ignite, we would have seen multiple kills in mid lane already.
I mean, I think you said it before when you said Blanc probably just doesn't have a lot of practice in the 1v1 against this Taliyah, and it's certainly looking like that.
And now you suddenly really need to quickly get that practice scrim whenever you face against CJ, and the champion is, at least right now, stated to change quite significantly in future patches. They're coming in for another gank, though.
That's right, coming down. There's the wall trying to block off Che. He's going to hop off early, though. Che trapped. Easy kill. Mad Life picking that one up. Man, the burst from this Taliyah is already getting pretty scary.
But that was just another really good use of the ultimate. Caught off Che. They'd already blown in the flash for the second time on that squishy Nami. Pilot has to flash away, and it's little plays like that that make me excited for the future games when we continue to see a meta that Taliyah's in, because you blow the flashes and then you rock up behind. 4 people, 5 people trapped. It's like everyone's trapped in a Jarvan ultimate, and man, it's really surprising to see CJ so well trained on this new champion.
Yeah, we've talked about this before, outside of the cast, and I'm sure a lot of other people have too, but once people really get the coordination down on this Taliyah pick, it is going to be pretty massive, I think.
And it's going to warp champion pools because, look, more realistically, it's going to force bans, but at least initially, if you don't have an escape and you're forced to flash, Taliyah has so many options to really punish you in a way that Jarvan is so much more focused on a single target.
Yeah, very true.
Not many champions in the game get terrain, a lot of legacy champions like Anivia, for example. But incorporating it in such a strong way in that ultimate that also gives her that massive mobility just makes her the sort of champion that is a really interesting one that could shape competitive play for patches to come.
The poke that Sky's able to do on this is already really scary.
That's why you have to be so defensive, or at least you really have to take a lot of data before you buff things like worked ground, because when the worked ground is there, then okay, it's just a single projectile, but whenever you can navigate away from that, the damage you do in early trades especially is insane, and you can just shove really effectively as well.
Sure. And you still do have the sustain even when you're on worked ground from that mana refund.
Feels good either way, Doa.
You know what else is really good, Papa Smith?
What else is really good?
The fact that all this insanity in the mid lane has kept the pressure off of Shy. And Shy's been able to just sit in top lane, have the 1v1, farm in a kind of a relaxed way under his turret, and he likely will be very relevant in the late game.
Just haven't seen games like this where mid lane has pressure,
Yeah.
bot lane has pressure, and Shy's just doing his thing, so the top lane's not feeling the brunt of other losing lanes.
This is exactly what they wanted.
A lot to like about CJ Entus in the first 15 minutes or so.
Trace forced to hop. Sky just picking up that blue buff.
Look at how far CJ can push up. When you have a champion like Taliyah, soon to be level 11, the wall is going to start to get closer and closer to being able to extend from mid to bot lane. You're happy that you can react fast. Mad Life face checks Gragas though.
Yeah, has to be a little bit careful. Kramer there to save him, so no engage as they can just pull him out with the Fate's Call. Yeah, 4,500 range now is the length that Sky's Weaver's Wall can muster.
That's what CJ is able to do though. When you have these two winning lanes, Gragas basically has to spend all his time sitting around bot lane, looking for a counter gank, not being able to pick up camps. CJ playing around their two winning lanes. They've already pocketed an Infernal Drake from it as well.
Yeah.
Even strategically, CJ playing very smartly around their winning lanes. And these are all things that in isolation, CJ's been able to do one of those things in the game, but putting things together is the next step towards finally developing from what has been a basement-dwelling team so far this season.
Yeah, the big question is now is that if CJ can win this game, and then Taliyah is presumably just banned in game 2, what does CJ have then?
Well, I guess they should hope for the Hecarim again.
Good, yeah, they could.
They didn't risk the Hecarim jungle this time. They wanted the Graves just for something a bit more reliable that needs a little bit less scaling. Second Infernal Drake.
That's big. That's really big for CJ especially.
Graves from the jungle as well, and
yeah,
more damage scaling for that Graves.
All right, Infernal Drake is up. CJ already starting it. Trace just going back to top lane. He's got his TP if he wants to come in.
If he wants to come in, he needs to come in early. Remember, he has no rage bar. There's nothing to auto attack on the way.
That's the big problem, is that Gnar bar is still way too low for him to make a big difference here. There goes the Drake, goes to CJ yet again. Wing comes in. That may be a bit of a mistake. Tidal Wave goes through from Chang. CJ looking for a kill. They've already got the Infernal Drake. Weaver's Wall comes in, doesn't manage to catch anybody though.
Did force a flash out of Winged, and everyone else moved defensively, although re-engage.
Yeah, super aggro. Trace trying to find a chance. He's got that full rage bar, but he's too low health to really go in. So CJ is going to get away with one there.
There's another defensive teleport, a little bit later than honestly needed to be. You needed to teleport in early and start poking as the Gnar, so all in all, CJ do pick up the second Infernal Drake, so they get the big objective. Shy had to invest his teleport, but nothing really else to speak about, so you'll take that as CJ. No bonus kills, but two Infernal Drakes already pocketed. Bodes very nicely for the late game.
Yeah, and there's a Mountain Drake coming next too, so that's going to be something that is really good as well.
I have to take back my words. Although the first purchase was defensive, has gone for Black Cleaver, so no one's visited top. Trace now has gone for the damage item, so should be able to run the lane. I'll have to watch if the priorities change from CJ, because this is the time when you need to start investing these two members you see on your screen, Mad Life and Haru, to finding ways to help Trundle get through this itemization and this power spike for the Gnar.
You know, I don't think that Kramer has enough daggers this game. He'll have to think about that. As you see the gank coming in onto Trace. Trace just ults CJ away. Mad Life, ooh, tries to hit him with the Q. Misses. And Trace will get away without having to use that flash.
The moment they see the Black Cleaver, CJ send reinforcements to help Shy get some pressure in the lane. If they had blown the flash from Gnar, that would have been massive, because then flash Gnar ult isn't a possibility. So they don't get anything out of it, but it's the right mindset. It's the right lane assignment. CJ, that's the Sivir ult.
Yeah, that's right. Use try to catch Shy. Here's going to drop the pillar. Going under turret, he's in big trouble either way. Oh, but the Aqua Prison doesn't connect. Now the counter teleport. Sky coming in, immediately blowing up Trace, nearly taking him out just like that. Mega Gnar, not too much of that left.
Mad Life has to be careful.
Now Wing comes in, Blanc there as well. Mad Life takes a lot of damage, but the threat from this Taliyah just seems a little bit too high for Janair to want to commit to any engages.
Jay was smart, instantly exhausted the Taliyah. Would have been Trace dying for first blood if not for that.
Yep.
They'll back away though, so crisis averted on both sides. No more kills though, so the snowball doesn't extend. They've looked good, but just like ESC Ever in Game 1, the gold lead doesn't exist yet, and Infernal Drake only really comes into effect when those items start to build up. So will still be time before they get the full value out of the bonus 16% AD and AP.
CJ pushing into this top lane now.
I mean, they're running the 2v2. We saw them controlling the lane. Shay has had his flash down basically this entire game. And now they move to top lane with a turret already taken down. So they're just trying to pile up the early gold with their lane advantage. The chain vest now completed. Shy won't have a great time in lane, but be able to do at least a little bit of farming towards his turret against the Gnar.
CJ going a bit deep. Wing trying to punish them. A little bit of damage to Mad Life.
Haven't got to see any more trades between Azir and Taliyah. One item, and now the Morellonomicon will be the second purchase, so very soon going to be 40% CDR, just with blue buff or 10% from the Masteries. Will be 40% Taliyah.
Yep.
Shy softening the blue buff, but certainly going to go over to Taliyah.
Oh yeah. Sky just grabbing that one real quick. Sky and Shy. Oh boy.
Why aren't they playing KT?
Yeah.
Then they fly also.
Fly, Sky, Shy.
Say that 3 times fast.
Why?
You're right. I'm now thinking about daggers. I believe that's 2, 4, I think 6 minimum has been purchased so far by Kramer.
He's opening up his own dagger store after this game.
I mean, they're so cheap nowadays at 300 gold.
Why not? Just load up on daggers.
Well, Kallista's the champion, right? With the Ren stacks that has that really strong synergy with attack speed. Will probably be, almost certainly be the Hurricane coming in as well.
Yep. Man, Unraveled Earth just makes Ziggs cry, I think, you know? He's like, my Issa doesn't seem very good anymore.
Stated to be some pretty significant changes to the interaction between W and E that will actually give more burst to Taliyah, which is a scary thought.
Boy.
Change the way she plays, but games like this where we see her play, at least so far, effectively at the professional level, can always shape future changes. We're seeing some turrets taken. CJ have that double Infernal Drake, plenty of attack speed on Kramer. Graves going to walk up as well. Junette's going to go for a Baron though, but it is in vision.
Yeah, they know it's happening. The ward is spotted. Taliyah ultimate comes through, just cuts off a few members of Jin Air, but CJ not there to really capitalize on that. Still a bit awkward.
Whoa.
Holy cow, Sky just evaporates Blanc. He was just insta-gibbed.
And that's going to zone them away. That's definitely a Sivir in fear. That's the scream of fear. Ah!
Ah! Run away! We've never seen this champion before. What does she do?
She wins games, apparently.
Yes. Fights Azir and doesn't afraid of anything.
CJ just ripping through these turrets. They still have the minion wave prepped in bottom lane. If they wanted to, they could take a 3rd turret, but they think better of it. The Drake is the mountain, like you mentioned, one of the more consequential Drake buffs. So
Super valuable to help CJ close out this game. And this has been a pretty clean game from CJ so far, hasn't it?
it's interesting watching now the interaction with Taliyah and things like Drake, because of course the workaround goes away every 2 minutes. So between Drake buffs, you come back and you just explode the Drake as well. We're seeing a replay. Yep. The ult at the start doesn't really accomplish much. Bounce and the body slam means the Gragas could get out, so could the Gnar. But watch the damage onto Blanc, who tries to dive over the E and gets exploded. No other way to put it.
Yeah, he was trying to go in for the Azir sec, I guess you could say, but he did not make it.
No Negatron Cloak, magic resist debuff from the Baron, and a bit of burst from Taliyah means goodbye, Birdman.
A lot of bit of burst.
This isn't what I expected when this series started at all.
No, I did not expect this either. But again, the question remains, when Taliyah is banned in Game 2, what does CJ have?
Hopefully a Hecarim, I guess, if you're CJ.
Possibly, because, I mean, you know that this is definitely the only game we're going to get to see Taliyah tonight.
Taliyah will occupy a ban slot that a champion like Shen or other potential consequential picks for CJ could certainly...
Shut up, Nami.
You backed in there. You worked it. Nicely done.
I can't let her get away with that.
CJ know that the blue buff's spawning. They also were considering a dive onto Sivir and Nami. Nami has been the target of most of the rage of CJ Entus so far.
True. Well, easy champion to isolate and kill off. Who got the blue buff? I think Winged got it.
Yeah, Winged
Seems
got
that
it.
way.
Yeah, and we need to, in this game, really pay attention to the flash on specifically Pilot and Shay, the two champions without repositions to get over the Talia ultimate. For now, they are both up. In fact, all summoners outside of teleport up for Jin Air. So the ult leads continue to grow, but once again, like that ESC Ever game, it hasn't gone massively, and still, an overcommittal from CJ into, say, Azir getting free damage, or Pilot finishing the Infinity Edge and getting the Ricochet crits. There's certainly a world where Jin Air Green Wings can win team fights, so game's not in the banks, but already a better early game than we're expected to by CJ.
Yeah, wow, Pilot in a lot of trouble here. Sivir used to try to get away. Here comes Sky coming over that Weaver's wall, and Talia just blows up another champion.
Did you see that damage? He was exhausted when the damage went off as well.
Dude, Pilot got rocked.
Jin Air just doesn't know the ranges of this ability. They keep getting knocked back by the W into Talia's E and dying outright. Shai's going to split push an inner turret as well. Homework for Jin Air Green Wings. Research this Talia character.
No kidding. Oh. Uh-oh. Ping's going down. They don't exactly know where CJ is. Wing gonna walk right into it. There's the damage. Can he get away? Oh, great W from Sky. And explosive cast has to be used. That seismic shove nearly costing Winged his life.
Well, this is going to be a lot of Baron damage. They actually smite it instantly because, of course, they have Kalista as well. With all that attack speed, there's nothing Jin Air can do. They're not even showing. Only Trace will get anywhere near it. 1,700 health. There it is, confirmed.
Yeah. Very much so. Trace goes in with a big Gnar ultimate. There's a tidal wave coming through. Lots of knockups on the CJ side. Fate's call, though, throws Blank back in. Already a kill coming in for Haru. Meanwhile, Sky chasing.
Sky's in
Shy
base. He's
chasing
been
Wing.
considering teleporting back in, but for
right.
now won't do it.
Shy, Sky, whatever. One of them's chasing somebody.
Really nice. Assertive Baron take, which again makes a lot of sense. Talia clearly does a lot of Baron damage. Kalista, the famous Baron securing champion. We didn't even touch on it, but Kramer back on Kalista, one of his staples in CJ's rise in the spring season.
Yeah.
All outer turrets in top and bot lane down.
A lot of surprising picks. I mean, this is Kramer's first Kalista game of this season, even though, like you mentioned, he was pretty successful on it in the spring.
And look, Kalista definitely hasn't been super convincing this season. A couple of AD carries, Sangyun, for example, tried picking it up and had mixed results and then some, so it's not the oppressive lane force, which is good. The meta kind of shaped around first Kalista, then Lucian more recently, but
yeah.
Kalista has always had that singular strength. I mean, she honestly had too many strengths originally, but one of her main strengths has been securing Drake and securing the Baron, so used for that in this game. So the build, just to recap, was Abyssal Scepter first, Morellonomicon second. Rylai's makes the catch potential of this Talia super high, especially in the long lane. You hit the first Rylai's, and we know the damage is very high on the threaded volley, and then you just walk forward as they're trying to kite you onto non-worked ground, and continue to slow, continue to do damage. And hell, you can always throw in that ult for more gap close if you need it.
Very true. Shy pushing with the Baron up in the top lane. Meanwhile, the rest of CJ moving down towards bottom. We are sub 30 minutes, and CJ is firmly in control of this game with a 9,000 gold lead. Baron, 3 dragons to 0. And that's 2 Infernals and a mountain, too, so it's not like 3 Cloud Drakes or something.
Really excited to see CJ show this, but a bit reminiscent of Samsung when they were struggling. They always had singular strats, but when you were forced to win a best of 3, that's when they kind of fell apart.
That's going to be the tricky part, is how do you win game 2?
You have another crazy mid laner.
Maybe.
Malzahar, that'd be a fun one.
Already seen it.
In the mid lane, though, it's different.
Yasuo.
Do you really want to see the Yasuo again?
You bet. I love watching Yasuo.
I do too, but they just kind of get dumpstered. We don't see winning Yasuos very often.
Yasuo, Trundle, Braum, Rek'Sai. There you go.
You like physical damage.
Knock up down.
Bring back the reworked Corki as AD carry.
Yeah.
He can do some magic damage. CJ have so much map control. All outer turrets down, all inner turrets down, only inhibitor turrets left. Baron's been taken, Drake's spawned, but looks like they don't want to kite back for a second Mountain Drake. They'll just use the first one they have to smash down turrets.
Yeah, they've got the pressure on. Why stop? Whoa, maybe if you kill Haru, that's a good reason to stop, or Haru gets killed rather. Madlife forced to maybe flash the ball. No, he has no flash. He will just die. I want to see the start of that one because CJ falling apart here at the moment. Kramer trying to get damage onto Winged. Talia manages to get the equalizing kill, semi-equalizing anyway, against Blanc. But that's 2 for 1 in favor of Jin Air.
It looked like a big flank coming through. We didn't catch the start of the fight, but from there, the squishier members. Madlife didn't have flash, didn't have anyone to W2, and Kalista, you could see, was walking into range for the ultimate. So clearly CJ just weren't expecting any aggression, and that makes a lot of sense. The enemy team didn't even have time to put down wards. Let's track the mini-map to see what happened. They were overextended. Winged walks up. Haru was already low. He must have taken some turret shots, I guess, but just got exploded. The moment that Kalista kites to the right, not in a position to use Fate's Call on Madlife, so isn't able to walk up. Sky takes damage, and whoa, Blanc still has no idea how to play against Talia at all.
That was a really nice play from Sky, actually. Using the flash at the end to get off the workaround and fire a bigger Q.
Sure, but Blanc flashed onto the E and took a load of damage. Well, didn't flash, he used his, he Q-E'd over and died.
Another Mountain Drake for CJ. So they still have all the dragons.
I just wonder why they play Blanc and then pick Azir, because Kuzan is a really good Azir player.
That's a good point. You know, again, one wonders what's going on behind the scenes there.
In almost all camps, you wonder. SKT struggles, you're like, what's going on there?
Well, it's really obvious in SKT is that their junglers have issues. That's pretty much it for SK Telecom. Everything else is going okay.
There was a Reddit thread that was from Trick, one of his interviews, where he said, I think I'm a better jungler than both Blank and Bengi. And the first post with like 600 upvotes was, all right.
Yeah, I can see it.
Maybe they'll come good later, but it's been some lean weeks for the SKT junglers.
Yeah, and I mean, Bengi's had such an incredibly successful career. You really, at the end of the day, you really can't say anything bad about that guy. Blank, on the other hand,
he won MSI.
Got a bit of work to. He won MSI.
He won IEM as well.
He's got a bit of work to do, but hey, you know, Tom won a season of champions, so.
Yeah. Peekaboo didn't get to play that game.
It's true. I remember he was very sad. I talked to him after that.
It's like everybody except me.
Yep. Oh well. He had a good run at Worlds.
Fair point. And then he's got a nice vacation this year.
Guess so.
CJ still very much in firm control. It's not like ever because they snowballed that last couple of matches. 10,000 gold, so we're starting to get to those massive gold leads. And 10,000 gold plus 16% for those building attack damage and AP means that the implied gold lead is even bigger.
Yeah.
No investment in the Void stuff yet for Talia. He's going for flat AP with ostensibly a Death Cap next. Does have Abyssal Scepter for a bit of Magic Hand.
I mean, he's got so much burst going already with this champion, you know, why not just kind of keep it rolling, you know?
The one thing extra AP gives is wave clear, is people aren't going to walk up. Here we go.
Ultimate onto Che, yeah. Che flashed as soon as he was hit by that Q. That prompted Madlife to try to go after him with the ultimate, but now Shy taking it to Trace, even in Mega Gnar. And with that Gnar out of commission for a moment, that helps CJ set up this Baron a little bit better.
Still...
Well, now Shy has to try to stop the TP, or maybe stop him getting back to base. Oh, hi. Shy, you crazy. You're a crazy troll.
Haven't seen that scene in a while. Proxy farming under the enemy inhibitor.
Now he's channeling the 2012 Mach Noon there.
Makes sense for him to channel that, I guess.
That is true.
As another OG.
He was there. He saw it.
See, very much has the run of the laning matchup. It's very worrying that a double laning item, Gnar, is getting proxied by a Trundle. When you go Frozen Out, Black Cleaver, you're supposed to win the lane, Noah.
Yeah, and What is that I see in Shy's inventory? Why, is that an Ohm Wrecker?
2 days, 2 Ohm Wreckers.
Wow.
See, now he can just ult Ohm Wrecker the turret.
Yeah, you can just go wild with that, man.
Ohm Wrecker really does build nicely. It gives you also the movement speed, as you can see on the screen as you move past the turrets. Usually the active isn't the most consequential, but in a game like this where you've got Taliyah who really wants to dive hard, you could pull off some interesting engages with the Ohm Wrecker. Also, it's a style item.
Recalling for the moment, it is, and Shy is styling a bit on his opponent. He's about 2,000 gold up right now.
It's a weird and wonderful season of LCK.
It is.
Just if you sat people down at the start of the season and explained half the things that would happen this season, no one would believe you.
It's true.
It's the whose line is it anyway season of Champions where...
What doesn't matter though this season?
That's a good question.
The Cloud
theoretically,
Drakes. That's the answer.
All the results are made up and the Cloud Drakes don't matter.
That's right. Where the wins are made up and the Cloud Drakes don't matter. You can see it.
Trace's rage is probably more real life than Gnar related in this game.
Yeah, not bringing out the Aurelia. You know, we talked about this, that he's been really spamming it in solo queue, but not bringing it out in game number 1 yet.
I mean, the Trundle matchup's not ideal for the Aurelia, so
no.
And that part's understandable. It's a bit of a skill matchup, but I'd be surprised not to see him pick Aurelia once. CJ going to turn on to Baron to lead it instantly.
I mean, Shy saw the Gnar bar go away, so they thought it was probably safe. Taliyah wall blocks Winged off from the rest of his team. There's a tidal wave coming through. Baron already taken by CJ.
That's actually a really nice Taliyah ultimate.
Yeah,
you wouldn't think it at first glance, but what happened there was that no one could assist Winged, and then he had second thoughts about looking for the steal with nobody backing him up, so guaranteed the Baron. Trace does guarantee the red buff.
The thing is Shy saw the Mega Gnar form go away from Trace, and as soon as they knew that was down, they just started the Baron. They're like, all right, well, Gnar can't TP in and ruin our day, so might as well go for it. Elder Dragon coming up next.
And what an Elder Drake that is, or Elder Dragon as you say that is, when it amplifies 2 Infernals and 2 Mountain Drakes.
It's pretty big.
They have so many options. If you get this buff, you do 25 bonus damage to turrets, obviously 25 bonus damage to Baron, but that's less of a immediate concern. You can also disable those turrets with the Ohm Wrecker.
That's true. I like how Ohm Wrecker is suddenly standard here.
I like how Ohm Wrecker with a slightly different pronunciation is Home Wrecker.
And Ohm hasn't played in Korea for a long time.
Fair point. I think he's still coaching Vici.
Secret coach.
Oh yes, I remember the secret coaching days.
All right, well, CJ getting ready to go after this Elder Dragon. And why not, you know?
Pressure in mid lane, Trundle split pushing in top lane. Gnar will go to react. It means that Gnar won't necessarily be in position with the Rage Bar, although as you look, he does have a pretty decent amount of Rage form.
You know, if anything, do you think they're playing this a bit too timidly? Starting the Dragon now?
Not yet, but we're teetering on that point, Noah.
We really are, yeah. Okay, Elder Dragon going to be taken by CJ. And now, that is an extremely powerful team. Here comes Shy to cut people off. The pillar could be big. Taliyah wall cuts off Shy, though. That's not how it's supposed to work. Oh.
You give him one, Noah.
I guess. It's
one mulligan.
It's a new pick, but that was not the best Weaver's Wall we've seen yet.
A minute and a half, remember, is the epicenter of this Elder Drake buff, so it's only about another minute or so of power. If they don't use it, then not much really gained for a lot ventured, a lot of time spent taking that Elder Drake down.
Yep.
But it's the thing about it's elegant about Elder Drake is that at a minute and a half, it makes very clear what's going on. The enemy team's glowing red. They want to fight right now. And it's on Jin Air to try and kite, create enough pressure. They don't have to fight the next minute.
Yeah. All right, CJ putting pressure on all 3 lanes at the moment. Jin Air trying to defend, but how do you defend against the Elder Drake and Baron and all the other things that CJ has going for them right now?
Taliyah ults back up, so can react from bot lane if she so chooses.
True. Whoa, it's a lot of damage on the Blank. Blank comes back in.
Oh boy.
Had to flash. There's a flash from Sky going after the Azir. He's going to take him out. He's been winning that 1v1 all game long, and that's going to be the bottom inhibitor turret taken down. Sky, what an MVP on this Talia, except for that one wall. And here comes CJ to win the 5v4.
Omewrecker.
Sky comes in, the wall just cuts off Jinair from their inhibitor. Omewrecker, yep.
It was used.
Turns off the turret for a moment.
It wasn't consequential, but it was used.
Sky recalling, he can TP back in right away. I don't know. Here we go. And he's back. And it looks like CJ's ready to try to end this game. Blanc coming up in about 20 seconds. Trace's Mega Gnar is about to run out.
No minion waves, so they'd have to brute force, and for now they don't seem like they want to. Still 15 seconds for Blanc, but...
Well, I just said they wanted to end the game. I didn't say they were going to end the game.
That's true.
They just wanted to end the game.
I love how Haru has just quietly gone full winged with his build, with the Duskblade of Drekthar deletion build.
Well, it's just more burst from CJ.
It's been a really good performance from Sky, but honestly a pretty embarrassing performance from Blanc. It's not nice to say that about a player who's new to the competitive scene, but has just shown no understanding of the champion is against. It's frequently dashed into the Talia E and just taken unnecessary burst. Clearly has no idea how powerful he is relative to Talia. So
it's like he doesn't know what Talia's E does. No. Because he keeps jumping onto it. I'm like, dude, that's going to kill you.
And like the first time is understandable, but at some point you have to just stay away from that person who keeps killing you.
Yeah.
But CJ, they need to continue the pressure. 16,000 gold, still consequential at 40 minutes, not so consequential at 60 minutes.
Yep.
So, still, foot on the pedal, they want to end this game. Civil wave clear, Zero wave clear. They're going for the tutorial victory, but they have a Trundle with Guardian Angel. They also have a champion like Talia who can make things happen.
True.
The tools are there for CJ, but for now, haven't found their way to finishing the game.
I don't know if I'd call it the tutorial victory. I don't see a Garen or an Ashe around.
And if there was an Ashe, she has to have a Thornmail, of course.
That's true, yeah. Gotta buy that defensive item to stay safe.
The most armor you can buy in one item.
There you go.
Perfect logic.
Here comes CJ. You know, they could just wait until the next Elder Drake, too. Oh, no, they're not going to. Blanc on the run already as CJ comes in. There goes the Azir turret.
There's the Mega Gnar, so they can wait this one out. 15 seconds for that Mega Gnar to go away.
That's right. Trace has his flash, but CJ's not really giving him an opportunity to engage.
Also, Sky is going top to push in the wave, which is fine, but remember, he doesn't have teleport, and it would take time to travel with the Weaver's Wall, so element of risk.
That's right.
I think, honestly, just have Trundle walk behind this inhibitor turret and force Jinair to relent.
Yeah, you really could.
They're doing basically that. They get the turret low, but still not dead. They're waiting on another minion wave.
Unraveled Earth. Okay, there we go. Wall coming through, just going to help them take out the inhibitor turret.
You can cancel that, I think. No, you can't, actually. Sorry.
I think so. Yeah, there we go. All
My
right.
bad. Can't cancel it. But Kramer pushing up in bot. This is a super minion wave. They're going to start auto-attacking. Jinair caught between two bad options.
Yep. And the only result is going to be a win for CJ, it looks like, in game number 1. But they're going to back away, going for the Baron yet again. All 3 inhibitors down. But I suppose if you take a break, you really guarantee yourself a chance to close this one out. You get all the minion waves, all the super minion waves pushing, rather, and then when you come back into the Baron, easy win.
So usually I'd be like, this is not what you want to be doing. You should be ending the game and criticizing them for being a little bit, like, not trigger happy enough, but some of the builds also really force this playstyle. With this build from Graves, he has no tankiness whatsoever. So if he tries to walk up for turrets and is bounced by the Gragas Assault, he will die instantly. So he's not a frontliner. Trundle for sure is, and Braum is as well. But just given the fact that all the damage that walks up can be picked, there's no answer for the explosive cast from Graves, Talia, or the Kalista. Makes sense to some degree to back away, go for the free buff, go back. Hex Drink is now built for just the slightest amount of tankiness on Haru, and this should be the winning push. Otherwise, it'll be a bit worrying for CJ Entus. You do not need the Elder Drake to finish this game.
Probably not. I mean, one of the incredible things about this game is that most of this gold lead is Sky. He's about 5,000 gold ahead of Blanc. Doesn't really get much more one-sided in a single lane than that.
Inhibitors about to respawn in mid and bot lane. Come on, CJ, you can do it. Think through this.
You need to think. Whoa, going into Sky. Sky flashes away. Explosive cast, not going to catch him. Meanwhile, Braum gets a big block off. Wow, Mad Life thrown in. There we go. Sky doing a lot of damage with that E. He's ready. Emperor's Divide does basically nothing. Well, it does set up a kill onto Kramer, I suppose. CJ having to back away to be a bit careful. Trade's going a bit deep. Sky very low. Megadar, big throw against the wall, gets the kill onto Sky, and Jin Air turning this one around somehow, some way. That is 1 for 3, but the super minions still hammering away at that last Nexus turret. And it was a sloppy fight from CJ. It was a team fight win from Jin Air, but I don't think it's going to change the overall result in this game.
Well, that answered your question when you asked, do you, after I said think this one through. You still have to be careful. Graves can't frontline. Sky gets caught, dies very quickly. He's gone for an offensive build with no Zhonyas. But the big issue here is that you need Trundle specifically and Braum in the front line. Although Mad Life was there, quickly has to back away. Still a support, so tankiness on a budget. Omreka on the turret. Trundle fighting away from his carries. Kramer dies while Trundle is trying to finish the game, hitting turrets. So definitely not the best synergy between the calls. This is a really nice Gnar ultimate. The only reason more people don't die is that the exhaust stops the extra damage on Register of the stun. Still in a great position, CJ, but already you're deciding to be, if you're a CJ fan, you're like, okay, this has been great, but we still haven't blown up the Nexus. And MVP fans know how close you can come without being able to win.
Yeah, I mean, it's unlikely that Jin Air could find a way to win this game, but it is still a little bit disheartening that CJ played so well for like the first 20, maybe even 30 minutes, and now it's just kind of stalled out of it.
Wave clear is the one thing Jin Air's comp can still do. You might not be able to do explosive damage to champions. Still will be good from the Azir, but with all the AP and attack speed, they still do have the ability to delete minion waves. And then if you don't think through those turret takes or really call out targets effectively, whether those targets are champions or turrets, things like that last engagement can happen.
Sure enough. Here comes CJ for what they hope is going to be their final push.
Turret's really low.
Sky doing some damage already. There goes the Nexus turret in just a moment. Sky thrown out by the explosive cast. Nice Braum ult to save the mid laner, and there we go. Kills coming in on each side though. Jin Air in the end though can't quite face CJ. Haru doing a bit too much damage on that Graves. There goes Wing finally, and that will be the end of the game. A triple kill for Haru in an interesting game one. We'll put it that way.
Interesting, but on the whole, a very positive one for CJ Enters. This bottom place team has been there for almost the entirety of the season. Brought out new things. The Taliyah pick for the first time in the LCK was wildly successful, even with some hiccups, with a singular wall and some of the team fighting right around the enemy Nexus. When the plays needed to be made, he made them, and that's the thing that you have to credit Sky on. Blanc, I think you have to ban this Taliyah away. We look at the damage. Massive amount of damage, and that's probably the slowest damage Azir for a 40-plus minute game that we've ever seen. The amount to which Sky crushed Blanc this game cannot be overstated, and Taliyah is the one guaranteed ban we will see coming into Game 2.
Well, yeah, I mean, Sky shut down Blanc so hard on that. Taliyah, he got like, what, 2 or 3 solo kills against that Azir, and did a ton of other damage besides that. So, yeah, in the end, I think absolutely you ban the Taliyah away, you know, maybe you burst pick it if you think you... No, I don't think Blanc can handle that yet. Blanc can. But, you know, you definitely ban it. And so, again, what we've been saying all game long, what does CJ have now that they're not going to have that surprise pick with the Taliyah?
Again, Hecarim wasn't accounted for, and they showed they can play the Hecarim jungle comp. That was with a Shen, but I think the Hecarim in general looked really good for Haru. The Graves did. He played around his build mostly. It made him struggle to be able to finish the game frontlining a turret, but otherwise got the nice triple kill at the end. Haru in general, his performance has gone up ever since Public kind of forced him to reach that next level by having a competitive game. And in general, there's no answer to your question. We don't know how deep CJ's strategies are because in general they've struggled so much. They won't get Taliyah again in Game 2. So as you say, first acid test, show us something, A+. They showed us something that worked very well. They showed us something new. Now it's on the second string. Do they have the second string to actually start that ascent up the places? Because it's a long way up from last.
Yeah, it's a bit disturbing, too, that they were so far ahead and still had, seemingly a pretty large amount of trouble closing out the game.
It's pretty CJ, though.
It's very CJ, yeah. So, I mean, this is still serious. Like, I think we both know this is going to go to Game 3.
I didn't make any evening plans, Doa.
Me neither. Yep.
I circled this game, and I was like, yep, going to get to bed eventually, I guess.
It's true. It's okay. We're in esports. We can sleep in as long as we want. True enough. Well, don't you go to sleep yet, because the next game is coming between CJ and Jin Air. We'll be back for game number 2 right after this. Or maybe a little bit more of this. About this much. Yeah, this is good.